Welcome back to New Day. Now we're going to talk about the EPA. If you remember, just a couple of days ago, ECOWAS failed to sign the EPA, that's the Economic Partnership Agreement, because Nigeria and other states raised certain issues, technical issues with the agreement, and the negotiators were given an extra 2 months to go and address those issues. In essence, ECOWAS agreed to sign the EPA in principle, but of course, they had issues with certain parts of the agreement. Well, this morning we want to look at the EPA once again, and Bernard Anaba, policy analyst at ISODEC, is back here with us. Now, just to refresh the memories of our viewers, what exactly is the EPA?
The EPA is basically an economic trade agreement between regional blocs. And i.e., this is between the EU and ACP countries, that's African, Caribbean, and Pacific countries. And for West Africa, that is ECOWAS, it is seeking to create a free trade area between these regional blocs. What that means is that West African countries will have that, will be able to export their products to the EU market quota-free. They're not going to pay any duty or tariff on their products to the EU market. And vice versa, EU products will also come to the West African market for free. But the EU is seeking around 80% to 100% free trade, import into the ECOWAS market, whilst ECOWAS is trying to get a lesser percentage in terms of.
So there's an imbalance already?
There's an imbalance already. So that is basically where the disagreement is, but that is not too much of a problem coming from the ECOWAS or maybe the Ghana side. There are other provisions in the agreement that ECOWAS or most civil society organizations think that is inimical to our development, and they are not necessary for the EPA. For instance, there is export tariff, elimination of export tariff. We think in terms of the state of our development, in terms of ECOWAS countries, we need export tariff to be able to protect our raw material. We are not going to ever remain exporters of just raw material. We're seeking to add value to our raw materials. So if you eliminate export tariff, then you are telling us that all that we can do is to export our raw material to the EU market, and we don't have a means of actually holding back our raw material if we so desire to do that. For instance, if you take the petroleum industry, Ghana is producing oil about 120 or about 100 barrels per day. If Ghana decides to add value, if TOR has the capacity and is able to refine this crude oil into finished products, and Ghana decides to say that, oh, well, we take this oil in terms of we do not take it, we take it in terms of in kind. So you want to hold back this oil for your industry to refine. How do you do that? How do you do that against the external market? You need to put some export taxes on it to make it more competitive for the Jubilee producer to want to supply to TOR for the internal processes. But if you don't have a way of doing that, then it means that you virtually have to export all this oil to the external market, because that might be more competitive. So those are some of the issues. So we are saying that it's perhaps taking away our policy space to be able to make decisions for our own economic development.
Okay. Were you surprised that the ECOWAS bloc failed to sign the EPA over the weekend?
Well, I'm not surprised, because I know there have been a lot of cracks in this whole negotiation, and we know Nigeria has abstained from signing the EPA. Nigeria is a very key player in the ECOWAS region, so we knew that there were going to be a bit of a problem in going ahead to sign. Even though we were disappointed about the ministerial conference, they were more of singing the praises of the EU and about going into this deal. So we thought that, we were disappointed in that process, thinking that it looks like they were all going for it. But fortunately, our head of state saw reason and had to retreat and ask for more time for that. So in a way, we are not surprised that, because it's not a good deal, and if you look at it critically, you need more time to study it properly.
Okay. Are you in favor of it?
I'm not in favor of the EPA, definitely. I'm just not in favor of it.
And if you look across the board, a lot of people have raised critical issues with the agreement.
Yes.
But it looks like, the various countries would go ahead to sign it. What would it mean for Ghana to sign? I mean, you've taken us through what we stand to benefit or otherwise, but what would it mean if we go ahead to sign this deal, i.e. for our farmers? What would it mean for them?
Yeah, what it will mean is that we are going to allow products or goods from the EU market into our market. And we know
So there's a ready market for them?
Yes, we know we have that desire to consume foreign products. So it's easy. And EU subsidizes its agriculture sector. Yeah. So when their products come into our market, it's cheaper.
Exactly.
We'll all clamor for the rice,
so eventually
the sugar,
to hurt our local farmers.
It's eventually going to send them off work. And just like if you look at the poultry sector, it's non-existent in terms of if you want Ghanaian chicken, it's more expensive to consume, and it means that driving most of the small-scale farmers or medium-scale farmers out of jobs, and eventually that's what's going to happen. So we're trying to protect the smallholder farmers against this unbridled importation of product from the EU. Already we are facing it, and we know the repercussion. So that is going to be, in terms of jobs, we are going to have a lot more on our street in terms of jobs. So in the long term,
so unemployment may go up.
Yes, it is going to create a bigger to go up, definitely, because once you get a lot of people not able to produce or be able to produce to export or to produce for local consumption as well, then definitely they are going to be out.
Have we debated it enough?
I don't think so, because I think the last time the ministerial conference in Dakar, where they agreed that the ministers go back to their various countries to consult their citizens, wide consultation on the EPA. What happens in Ghana, we didn't have any consultation. Because each time they go for this negotiation round, there are give and take, there are changes in the agreements. Yeah. So you need to come back and continue the debate, consult your citizens. But Ghana did not do that. I know Nigeria did that, and eventually they came to that firm decision that, look, this is not good for us. But we haven't done that enough. And that is why our head of states are asking for our 2 months to look at it again and to go back. But I think we even need more time than just 2 months.
So the 2 months are definitely not sufficient?
Yes, from our angle, definitely not sufficient, because we need to do the real fiscal impact analysis and to see, because what is happening is that we, from civil society angle, have done some research. There are a lot of researches has been done, and we use that for advocacy. But in terms of from government has no its own research to tell us that this is what we think. Yeah. Yes, all that they are singing is singing the songs of the EU, and we think that is not good. They should come out with their own statistics, how that is going to affect our local industries. And if that happens, what are the remedial or what are the policies to be able to, to withstand those shocks that are going to happen? They haven't given us those alternatives.
Okay, so within the next 2 months, what kind of input are you expecting Ghana to make so that the EU, the EPA, if eventually signed, will benefit Ghanaians?
Well, we think that there are clauses in the agreement that has to be taken out. Okay. I mentioned about this elimination of export tax. We think it is not in our interest. It's going to cripple our industries. We are going to ever remain exporters of raw material. That's not good. In terms of the MFN clause, which says that the most favored nation, we say that whatever agreement that we enter into in the future with any other trading partner like i.e. Brazil or China, then we have to grant that same concessions to the EU. It is something that is also eating into our policy space, so that whatever decision that we think in the future, that we think that we need to do a lot more trade with China, then the EU will be standing there and say that, look, I also deserve this. Right. Yes, and we think
that clause should also be taken out.
Yes, and there's another clause called the rendezvous clause, which means that if you sign the EPA, this is goose EPA, within 6 months of signing the EPA, you must begin negotiation into liberalizing your services, your government procurement, investment, intellectual property sectors. And we think that is just not good enough. You sign a goods EPA only to get yourself into another arena of liberalization, which is not good. That is not required in this kind of EPA. We think the EPA is not development oriented, and it is not in our interest. It is basically in the interest of the EU. They have come up with their template, their agreement, and that is what we are trying to negotiate on. It is not in our interest. So we need to look at it hard and look at the facts and be able to stand our grounds.
Okay, I have just a minute or so more to go, but what would it take for Ghana to say that, okay, the other ECOWAS countries can go ahead and sign, we are not signing?
Well,
what would it mean for our country?
Well, if it means that we need to do a bit more sacrifice, it means that we need to support our industry that are going to
Can
lose
we afford
out.
to say we
should
will
be
sign?
able? Yes, we can afford. We should be able to do that because we are supposed to be able to determine our own future. We don't.
But are we there yet? Do we have what it takes yet to?
That is our vision. That is what we have to do. That is what the president has been saying all along. Or in his State of the Nation address, that's what he said in the Independence State of the Independence address. That was what the president said. That is the vision. We want to develop ourselves. We want to be able to take our destiny into our own hands, and that's what we are driving at. So if we give away, then it means that even before the battle starts, we have. We have defeated ourselves. So that is the situation that we are. So we have to stand our grounds. Our president, we are glad our president has become the president. The chairman of the ECOWAS, and we think that he should show that leadership. He should work very hard to get the other ECOWAS members to understand the hard facts. And once the facts are bare and they are there for everybody to see, it's going to be difficult to say, well, you're going to go against it.
Okay. Thank you very much.